All right, we're here live with some instant reactions to day 11 of Pat's camp. This is the last public practice without another team that the Patriots will have this offseason. So the final time they were out there in full pads, not a ton of still not tackling the ground, but there was certainly some aggression on the offensive and defensive line. We'll talk about that in a bit. But I thought today was probably the best day for blocking that the offensive line had. There were definitely some run holes. There was a really nice play on 11 on 11 where they ran a pitch to Ramondre and he had a really nice cutback lane. Nice job by him, but a great job by the offensive line to give him that lane. And that's what it's all about. That's what this offense is about, right? It is about finding those cutback lanes and making it one cut, and you have a nice lane, right? And so they did a nice job with that. You know, I thought the offense just in general looked a lot better. Ton of drop passes today. I thought, Josh Hammond had one. Parker, I think, may have had one. Jonnu had one. Trey Nixon had two, which is not great. Jacoby had one. Like there were, decent amount of drop passes. Um, it's and that happens. Aguilar, I think, had two. So was it Aguilar that had two? Yeah, I think it was Aguilar that had two. So it's just kind of like, you want to see more, right? You want to see more from those guys, but it kind of is what it is, right? That's one of those things. So I'm sorry, Christian Wilkinson was the one that had two drops in the end zone. Not great. So it's one of those things. And look, was it perfect? Absolutely not. Did the offense look a little bit better? They did. They did. And that's one of those things where we were panicking. The offense is terrible, and the offensive line can't block anyone, and so bad, and they can't create any separation, and blah, 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 blah. And like there were definitely times where the defense won, but the offense looked pretty competent today. They looked like they had a decent day. Again, not a great day, but a decent day. And that really was set up by better offensive line play. That's what you wanted to see was better offensive line play. That's what we saw for the most part, right? Isaiah Wynn wasn't out there again today. Yodny Kajus was the guy that got the nod at right tackle. I know Haran was there yesterday. Wynn was at practice yesterday but didn't participate. Today wasn't there in general. So that's been Isaiah Wynn's problem since he got here was he can't stay healthy. So we'll see if that's a lingering issue and something they got to worry about at right tackle. But for today, Yodny Kajus looked decent. He looked decent at right tackle. The biggest kind of note, the biggest thing of note today was there was a little on-field scuffle between David Andrews and Christian Barmore. Barmore has been dominating the offensive line all camp. He's a great. Andrews yesterday cussed out the entire offense yesterday. Basically said, we got to be better. And, he brought the fire today and they played well. And then tempers flared and him and Barmore went to the ground and Mac was in there and everyone was in there trying to separate them. So, not the best thing, right? You don't necessarily want to see fights break out in camp, but at a certain point, right? Barmore's been killing you, right? The offensive line, he wants more out of the offensive line. He wants to kind of light a fire a little bit. It's August 9th. Right? Do we need to do that right now? I don't know. But the way they've been playing, maybe he does, right? And so he did. Now, what's interesting, what I thought was interesting, they both kicked out of practice. Barmore left. Andrews did not. So Andrews was on the far field, away from everyone. But basically, it was like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here. And so during practice, instead of participating, he went and ran hills. Now, whether that was him saying, I'm here, I'll go run instead of, I don't know who decided that, told him to do that, but he didn't want to leave practice and he didn't leave practice. He stayed at practice at the end, even though he didn't participate again after that, right? He wasn't in any huddles. He wasn't working with anyone. He was over off to the side by himself. But and then eventually there were some people that kind of ended up in that same area. But nevertheless, he wasn't participating. He didn't do anything, but he was there. He wasn't leaving. And I think that just kind of speaks to what Andrews is about and what he does. And again, Barmore left. Like it's not anything against Barmore, but I think that Andrews was basically like, no, I'm not leaving. Like I'm not leaving. Like this is, yeah, I screwed up. That's my bad. Like I shouldn't have done that, but I'm not leaving. So anyways, just an interesting thing for me. again, I think that, like I said, the big takeaway for me today, the offense looked a little bit better. They had a few really nice like combo plays. Matter of fact, on the play that Barmore and Andrews got into it, was a really nice play where, Andrews was kind of at the wing or maybe in the slot, and John, who was split out a little bit wider, and Andrews and John, who kind of ran out together. Andrews came out and he was almost right behind him, and then he cut inside. It was a really nice play. And so that was good to see. There was a really nice play on third down that they ran. They ran it twice, before. First one, not great. Second one, picked up a decent amount of yards. Third down, they go to run it again. It's a play action, and John was wide open across the middle. The linebackers had bid up, left Johnny wide open, right? So Mac finishes that, runs that play, and he's yelling at Matty P to, put it in, like, put it in the playbook, right? We're running that play again. So I thought that was, it was good. It was good. And again, was it perfect? Absolutely not. Were there some checkdowns that you were kind of like, all right, like that guy should have been open, or did he miss some guys? Absolutely. Did Mac, miss some throws? He certainly did, right? But I thought it was a competitive series, a competitive practice from both sides of the football. It's been a competitive practice from the defense for the last week and a half, right? It really hasn't been super competitive from the offense. Today, the offense brought it a little bit more. They definitely looked like they knew what they were doing out there. They looked like they were, ready to go. And again, like I said, decent amount of drops, which you don't love to see. But the aggressiveness from the offense was better. I thought the route running from some of the guys was good. Tyquan Thornton had a few plays where he was open. Trey Nixon was open a few times. Jonnu Smith got open quite a few times. Hunter Henry a few. So, there are guys here and there that were open, which was good. And again, and I'm going to keep saying it wasn't perfect, but that's the way it goes. Now, Mike Reese tweeted out afterwards that he thinks that Mac Jones may not play. That some of the play sheet, when they were running some of the play sheet, which would indicate, basically the playbook for the Giants game, that he wasn't on the field, that Mac wasn't on the field. Now, does that mean that he's not going to play? I don't know, but he said it's an early indication that maybe he's not going to play. So we'll see. But I thought overall, just the offensive line, that was the biggest thing I was looking for today. What does the offensive line look like today? The offensive line played significantly better. Certainly opened up a few holes for the running backs, which I thought was good. Protected the quarterbacks pretty well. It's competitive out there. I really think the defense is better than people are giving them credit for. I really do. And so we'll see. But that's what I saw. Raekwon McMillan at one point was down on a knee. I was worried he was hurt, but then he was back in. Damien Harris clearly hurt his hand or his finger. I don't know if a nail got ripped off or what. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was back in there, so whatever it was with him wasn't too serious. It didn't look like a break or like a dislocation or anything like that, because he was just looking at it, and they were looking at it too, and it wasn't like, they weren't trying to hold it or move it or anything like that. It was just, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but whatever it was, it wasn't too bad. But that's it. I'm trying to think of anything else, but yeah, nothing really else that happened. I thought that overall, like I said, the biggest takeaway, and this is, I'm sure the narrative is gonna be the narrative, right? Matty P sucks, and he's the worst coach of all time. And what did the Patriots do? And this is a disaster. And the offense can't do anything, and cancel the season and everything else, right? And Belichick's an idiot, and so on and so forth, right? I mean, just get all the narratives out. The narratives aren't ending no matter what, right? But today, if you showed up to practice today and didn't know anything and hadn't listened to Boston Sports Talk Radio and hadn't looked at Twitter and hadn't read any stories and hadn't done anything, you'd have come to practice today and said, like, oh, okay, the offense look pretty good. They're maybe not great, right? But they look pretty good. They knew what they're doing, right? Which is good. Yeah, defense was pretty competitive. Offense was pretty competitive. It was a fairly evenly matched day at practice today is what I thought, right? Certainly some wins from the defense and definitely some wins from the offense as well. So those were things that were good to see, right? And again, it wasn't all perfect. It didn't at times look a little disjointed, but for the most part, there were holes that were open up. The offensive line was giving it to the defensive line at times. The defensive line was giving it right back to the offensive line. So it was It was a good practice, and it was, I think, constructive on both sides of the ball. And Belichick said before the game, before the practice, that it's about getting back to fundamentals. And I heard Joe Judge saying that to shouting that, because Joe Judge has one volume and it's shout. But I heard Joe Judge shouting that to the the quarterbacks and wide receivers. We're getting back to fundamentals. It's about fundamental football. That's what we're trying to do, right? I think that's what the offensive line did. I think it's what the receivers did. I think it's what the quarterback did. And I think overall, you saw a much better day from the offense today. Okay. Now, again, no practice tomorrow, at least open to the public. Game Thursday night. So we'll see. Now, does Mac play in the game Thursday night? Mike Reese seems to think maybe not. He might not. I don't know. Okay. But the game Thursday night is going to be interesting to watch. I don't know if there'll be much to glean from that. I think what's really going to be, interesting is next week when they do joint practices, right? That's going to be fascinating. Joint practices against Carolina, which is going to be interesting, right? Carolina is not a very good team, but they have a lot of young speed on defense with Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin. So, so there's some players there. Right? So at the very least, you can look at them and say, okay, they got a few guys over there that can play, right? And so, so we'll see kind of how that turns out, but that's going to be the litmus test for the Patriots, I think. It's Thursday night, obviously, but then, what does it look like next week, right? That's going to be a real question. So anyways, that's what I got for you today. I'm going to have a show after the game, I think, after the game on Thursday night, just an instant reaction to that. That should be my podcast of the week. I might have another one that pops up at some point as well. Not sure, but I'll be here. So thanks for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.